After the decline of the Mauryas, the vast territories in central and north India broke up into a number of small kingdoms. The Mauryas were replaced by the Shungas. Pushyamitra Shunga founded the Shunga dynasty in 185 BCE. He was an orthodox Brahmin. To consolidate his position, he performed 2 Ashwamedha Yajnas and established an empire that stretched up to the northwest. He was succeeded by a string of rulers whose weakness eventually led to the decline of the Shungas. The Satwahanas. The Satwahanas were also known as the Andhras. They ruled in the Deccan for nearly 300 years, 100 BCE to 220 CE. Their capital was Pratisthan, modern Pathan, in Maharashtra, on the river Godavari. The Satvahana dynasty was founded by Simukha after the fall of the Mauryas. Simukha ruled for 23 years. The first powerful ruler of the dynasty was Sri Satakarni. He fought against the kingdom of Kalinga and the Shakas. He also conquered territories in the Deccan. He was praised as the lord of Dakshinapada. Life during the Satvahanas. The king was considered god and upholder of dharma. The kingdom was divided into provinces, districts and villages. Trade. The Satvahana rulers encouraged trade by building a network of well-connected roads. A large number of coins were also minted. Outside India, trade was carried on with West and Southeast Asia. Some parts of the western coast, such as Broch, Kalyan and Sopara, were centers of trade with countries like Persia, Iraq, Egypt and Arabia. The cities on the east coast, such as Machilipatnam, etc., traded with Burma and Malaya. Religion. The Satvahana rulers were Hindus. However, by this time, Hinduism had undergone many changes. Rituals, ceremonies and sacrifices had become less important. Now, devotion to God was becoming important. The old Vedic gods were also replaced by new ones such as Vishnu and Shiva. The teachings of the Gita had become very popular. Buddhism also flourished in the empire. Lands were gifted to the Buddhist monks by the rulers. Wealthy merchants gave liberal donations to the Buddhist monasteries. Nagarjunakonda and Amravati were important centers of Buddhist culture. Kingdoms of the South. The region lying south of the river Krishna is known as South India. In ancient times, this region was known as Tamilakam or the Tamil region. 3 powerful dynasties ruled in this region. These were the Cholas, Pandyas and Cheras. Sangam literature is our main source of information on these kingdoms. The Cholas. The Chola kingdom was in the Kaveri Delta. Urayur was its capital. The most powerful Chola kings were Karikala, Rajaraja and Rajendra. Karikala was constantly at war with the Pandyas and the Cheras. He maintained a number of warships as he realized the importance of the navy in a war. He even attacked Sri Lanka and occupied a part of it, though for a short period only. Many roads were constructed during his reign. He encouraged trade with other countries. The Pandyas. The Pandya kingdom comprised the districts of Tirunelveli, Ramnad and Madurai in Tamil Nadu. According to Indica, the Pandyan kingdom was founded by a woman who maintained a large army. Nedun Chelian was one of the famous Pandyan rulers. He fought with the Cholas and Cheras and annexed their kingdoms. He was a patron of art and literature. Probably the assembly, Sangam at Madurai, was held under his patronage. The Pandyan kingdom was famous for pearls. It exported pearls to the Roman Empire, as a result of which it became very prosperous. The Cheras. The Cheras had ruled over the whole of present-day Kerala and northwest Tamil Nadu. Their capital was Vanji. The Cheras were also known as Kerala Putras. The most famous Chera king was Nedun Cheral. He fought against the Cholas and Pandyas. The Chera rulers encouraged trade. They had trading contracts with Rome and Egypt. All the three kingdoms had made victorious expeditions in the north, and some of them had territories up to North India. Kingdoms of North and Northwest. There were a series of migrations across the northwest borders from 200 BCE onward. Many foreign tribes from Central Asia crossed the Hindu Kush and entered India. These foreign tribes were the Indo-Greeks, the Pahalvas, the Shakas, and the Kushanas. These people made India their home. They greatly influenced the political and cultural history of India. The Indo-Greeks. The Greeks ruled in a region in northern Afghanistan named Bactria. Under Demetrius II, they attacked North India and conquered parts of Punjab and the Kabul Valley. They came to be known as the Indo-Greeks or the Bactrian Greeks. The Indo-Greeks introduced for the first time the coins with images of the ruling king. When Menander became the king, he made Sakala, now Sialkot, his capital. He was the most powerful Indo-Greek king. He brought a large area of the northwest under his control. He followed Buddhism and also issued a large number of coins. These coins and Buddhist texts belonging to his period formed the main source of information on his reign. The Pahalvas, Parthians. They were a tribe from Central Asia. In the 1st century CE, they occupied a large portion of the northwest, including the region around Gandhara. They made Gandhara their capital. The most powerful Pahalva ruler was Gando Furnace. His rule extended up to South Afghanistan. The Parthian ruler was very brave. Later, the Kushanas, who came from the present-day Tajikistan, defeated them and took over and ruled their territories. Kushanas. They established themselves at Takshashila and Peshawar after defeating the Indo-Greeks, the Pahalvas and the Shakas. Later, they occupied the whole of Kashmir and Punjab and parts of present-day Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. The Kushanas were a nomadic tribe of northwest China or Tajikistan. They were driven out of their homeland by the Huns. As a result, they moved eastwards and arrived in Afghanistan in the 1st century CE. The Kushanas were very dynamic, like the Indo-Greeks, Parthians and Shakas. The Kushanas adapted well to the Indian climate and made this country their home. They followed Buddhism and spread Indian culture to West and Central Asia. Kanishka. Kanishka was the greatest ruler of the Kushana dynasty. He came to power in 78 CE. He firmly established his power in the north and the northwest. He founded a vast empire including parts of Central Asia. Purushapura, modern Peshawar, was the capital of his empire. The kingdom was the first big empire in India after the birth of Christ. Kanishka started his era in 78 CE, which is 78 years behind Christian calendar. Kanishka was deeply influenced by Buddhism. He donated large sums of money to build Buddhist monasteries. The 4th Buddhist Council was held in Kashmir during his reign. He sent missionaries to China, Korea, Tibet and Japan. During the rule of the Kushanas, trade brought India and West Asia into close contact. Many towns like Takshashila, Ujjain and Mathura prospered. Trading contacts brought with it new ideas on art and religion. Achievements of Kanishka. Trade. Trade flourished during his period. He had harmonious trade relations with West Asia. Takshashila, Mathura and Ujjain were important trading centers. A large number of gold, silver and copper coins were issued by the Indo-Greeks and the Kushanas. This encouraged trade. The development of new crafts also promoted trade. Kanishka established the Silk Route, which proved to be a connection between the East and the West. This was the most important trade route at this time. From China, it ran across Central Asia and ended at the West Asia provinces of the Roman Empire. Through this route, India exported pearls, silk, ivory, and precious stones, glass, copper, tin, and gold. Art. Kanishka established the Gandhara School of Art. This was an institution for promoting art and culture. Here, Indian craftspersons were exposed to Greco-Roman style of sculpture. The combination of the Greco-Roman and the Indian styles of craftsmanship became the hallmark of the Gandhara School of Art. Many images of the Buddha were made by the craftspersons of the Gandhara school. In these images, Buddha was depicted having sharp features and curly hair. This school spread the Indian art all over Afghanistan, Kashmir and Punjab. Kanishka also patronized the Mathura School of Art. This school produced sculptures of the Buddha, Mahavira and Kanishka. These images were not influenced by Greek and Roman styles and were purely Indian in form. Standing Buddha and the headless statue of King Kanishka were the two most outstanding pieces of art by this school. The school had its center at Mathura and hence it came to be known as the Mathura School of Art. Religion. Hinduism and Buddhism were popular in this period. Buddhism was divided into two sects, Hinayana and Mahayana. Hinayana was the old and simple form of Buddhism. Mahayana was the new variant with many rituals and ceremonials. Kanishka was responsible for the reformed school of Mahayana Buddhism. He sent missionaries who traveled long distances through the Silk Road. They spread Buddhism in Central Asia and China. Despite being a devout Buddhist, Kanishka was tolerant towards other religions. He supported and allowed them to exist. Many other rulers accepted Hinduism and became worshippers of either Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva. Shakas, Scythians. The Shakas were a nomadic people from Central Asia. They defeated the Indo-Greeks and came through the Hindu Kush mountains in the 1st century CE. They settled down in western India and gradually spread all over the region. Rudradaman I, 130 to 150 CE, was the most powerful Shaka ruler. He annexed Gujarat, Sindh, Saurashtra and North Konkan. His capital was Ujjain. Rudradaman I used titles like Maharaja, Great King, and Maharaja Dhiraj, King of Kings. He was in conflict with the Kushanas in the north and the Satwahanas in the Deccan. During the Shaka rule, the satrap system of government was introduced. Under this system, the empire was divided into provinces. Each province was ruled by a military commander who was called a satrap. These commanders were independent rulers of their provinces. Some even issued their own coins. The spread of Buddhism. Buddhism, under the royal patronage of the Mauryas, spread throughout the Magadha kingdom from east to west. Ashoka sent missionaries to far-off places through the royal highway built during that period. It connected Indian territories like Patliputra, Mathura and Takshashila with Central Asia, China, Iraq and Rome. In northwest India, Takshashila was an established religious center. Religious preachers spread the teachings of the Buddha up to Gandhara and then to Central Asia. Afghanistan became an important center for Buddhism. Various monasteries, stupas, and colossal statues of the Buddha are testimony of the importance of Buddhism. The region of Bactria and Gandhara also came under Buddhist influence. Emperor Kanishka set up two religious centers at Gandhara and Mathura and sent missionaries to China, Tibet, Korea, Japan, and other distant places. These missionaries introduced Mahayana Buddhism abroad. For the spread of Buddhism to Central Asia and China, the Silk Route acted as the main artery. Pilgrims and missionaries from India traveled to China and Central Asia through this route. Emperor Kanishka sent Kumarajiva, a monk, to China to spread Buddhism. The accounts left by the ancient travelers provided valuable evidence on Buddhism. Some of the Chinese pilgrims who came to India were Fa Hien, Huensong, and Ai Sing. They recorded their experiences in their travelogues. During the reign of Kanishka, Mahayana Buddhism came to prominence. During the reign of Harshavardhana, there was a regular exchange of pilgrims between India and China. Buddhism also spread to the countries of Southeast Asia. In order to spread Buddhism, Ashoka sent his son Mahindra and daughter Sanghamitra to Sri Lanka. Ashoka also sent his officials to Java, Sumatra, Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia to preach Buddhist ideals. The great stupa at Borobudur in Java is dedicated to the Buddha. The strong Buddhist influence resulted in many changes in these foreign lands. Today, Buddhism is a popular religion in Central and Southeast Asia.